Hello and welcome to this fourth in a series of Zenbeats tutorials. In today's session you'll learn how to compose a song using the loop builder in Zenbeats. So without any further ado, let's get started. Let's start by clicking Open Song, and then click on the New Song option on the left side. And here you're going to see a number of what we call track templates. Track templates are nice because they allow you to get up and running and recording really fast without getting lost in the details of having to build up your tracks, your send tracks, your effects. A lot of these track elements have already been predefined and built in for you so you can start making music pretty much immediately. So there are a lot of these out here. Go ahead and experiment to your heart's content. But for now, we're going to go ahead and open up the Hip Hop Studio. So let's double tap. And here we are in the Loop Builder view. So right away I'm going to save the song with a different name. Let's go to the hamburger menu on the left, choose Song, and then save Song As. And let's give this a new name. Let's call this App Music. Hip Hop Song. And I'm going to save that to my device. So now we have our song saved. We have 3 drum tracks ready to go here, drum loops I should say. And then we have a number of other tracks already out here. So again, this is a result of having a track template. It places all these different instrument tracks and drum tracks and sample tracks and vocal tracks out here for us. So let's go ahead and do some house cleaning. And what I mean by that is I want to remove some elements so I have more room to work. First of all, if you scroll down, you'll see that we have a couple of send tracks that control delay and reverb potentially for a number of different tracks. We don't need to see those right now. We can turn off the visibility by going to the upper right, the little eyeball, and selecting Show Send Tracks and turning off the little switch. And that way the send tracks are gone. Now I want to make more room here too. So over off to the far left, we have what's called the channel strip. So you can see the channel strip changes based on what track we have selected. There's the pitched 808. Electric piano, and it has parameters like volume and solo and mute and pan and so forth, and this is how we can kind of see what's going on. We have our instrument and the audio effects. We have sends coming in for reverb and delay, and again all this is a product of having the track template, but we don't need to see that right now. Let's go ahead and collapse that panel by clicking on the little arrow on the lower left, and it tucks that in. Another way we can get more room horizontally is if you set your cursor or your finger and you tap like right around here, just between tracks, just below the solo mute switch and the little level indicators, it'll collapse that down a bit further. The solo mute switches go away. Again, to bring those back, we just simply tap again in the same place. So that's how we can get more room. Now, we're also going to want to eliminate some of these tracks. So we're not going to use pitched 808. So let's long press on the track icon and then from the menu choose delete. Same thing with the electric piano. Long press track icon, choose delete. Now let's add a track. Choose instrument track and let's select Electro Composer by clicking the plus button. Now it'll bring us into the actual instrument itself, and we'll come back here and we'll do some sound shaping later on. For now, close this view. And what I want to do is I want to lay out these tracks in a way that kind of makes sense for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the drums, sequencer synth, and then the Electro Composer, and then vocals in that stacking order. And to do that, I'm just going to press and drag up the Electro Composer. You saw the blue line that kind of shows you where it's going to go in your release. And there it is. So now we have our track kind of laid out, nice, cleaned up, and organized, so we can start to play in our performances. So for the sequence synthesizer, let's go ahead and just double tap on the track icon. So we're going to use a preset called Arp 2 Slicer Lead. If we click on the little name, it'll give us the list over here. And I'm looking for Arp 2 Slicer Lead. There it is. Go ahead and click on the plus button here to load up that preset. Let's audition the sound by bringing down the keyboard. So that's what this sounds like. It has an arpeggiator applied. We can see the arpeggiator here with the actual preset that's being used. And we see this kind of odd looking keyboard down here, and this is a result of using the key lock feature. So to see what I mean, if you go up to the transport controls and expand it, you'll see that there is a key signature F sharp minor. And so that's key lock being applied, and key lock is a feature that allows you to actually play in key regardless of the note you play. And you can see that every single key down here is actually in the scale of F sharp minor. So if I play using all these keys, I'll always be in key with that scale. So anyway, I'm going to turn that off. I don't need that for this demonstration. Let's go ahead and click on the key signature, and let's turn off key lock. All right. So to audition an arpeggiation, I like to use the actual hold button. It's kind of like a hold pedal. And that's the little icon off to the left here just above the keyboard. Now when I turn that on, then I can depress a note and it holds it down. So I can play with the settings and so forth. I'm actually going to leave the speed set to ×2, and I'll turn off the hold pedal. Now the neat thing about this type of arpeggiation, even though it's very simple, is the fact that you can make some pretty cool music based on simplicity. So if I tap, let's say B3 here, I can tap in sequence or hold at different intervals, and it'll syncopate the actual pattern differently each time, which is kind of a neat thing. It adds a nice twist, and it kind of automates playing something very cool. So now that we have our sound in place, we've adjusted our arpeggiator speed, let's close the panel, and let's go into the first cell in track 2. So here, when I press record, I'm going to get a 4-beat count in, and then I'm going to attempt to play a performance using this arpeggio. And if you want to follow along, please do. So that is my pattern that I played in, and you can see that the pattern didn't extend quite out the entire length of measures that I had played into. And that's fine, because I really want to shore this down to a single measure. And to do that, we're going to double tap to go into piano roll view, and this is where we can edit our notes, move things around, delete, paint new notes out here. We don't need to do that. All I really want to do is loop this down to one measure. So I'm going to drag out the end point of my loop bar to one measure, and then I'm going to play this back and see what I get. And that sounds pretty tight. So I'm good here. I'm going to close the window, and there is our first loop. Let me reset everything by clicking stop. Now let's move on to the next loop and build this. Now I'm going to use the same sound. Everything that I have on this track is going to be using the same sound. It's not an audio track where everything can have its own unique sound effects and so forth. It's a MIDI track, so everything that I lay out here across this track is playing through this instrument. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working. Sometimes people think they can apply a different instrument to this loop and then a different one to this one. Well, you really can't. Everything across this track is going to be played through that singular instrument. If you wanted to have, let's say, a loop play through a different instrument, then maybe another loop on the same track, you have to insert a new track, choose your patch, and then just kind of drag and drop the loop down so it plays those notes through the different instrument. But anyway, let me get back on track here. Let's move over to the next cell, and I'm going to record something in a higher octave. Let's say right around B5. So, Morse code, hey, help. All right, so anyway, I'm going to record some type of pattern using B5. And I played a bunch of off-the-wall mumbo-jumbo there, and we'll see if I can make anything usable out of that patch or that pattern. Let me double tap on the loop, and let me go ahead and shore this up to a measure, and let me play this through. That's okay. Now, if I want to check out the next measure, I don't have to reposition both the start and play heads. All I have to do is move this entire range by holding and dragging, and look how I can just move the entire measure range. And then I'm going to start here and see what this sounds like. That's kind of goofy. Let me go ahead and move that over a little bit more, try the next measure up. I like that actually. I'm going with it. I'm going to close the window, and there is our second loop. Let me reset everything by choosing the stop button. And now we're going to move down to this Electro Composer. First thing we're going to do is choose natural sound. So let's double tap on the track icon, and here we are in the Electro Composer. Now there's some pretty nice instruments here. The one we're looking at now is called Fall Strings, and I'm going to just click on the default name here. Oh, and there it is, the very next one right here. So I'm going to click on the plus. And now let's audition this patch, and this is what it sounds like. It has a nice, beautiful string section sound that kind of trails off, and the trail is really long, super long. And this patch, right as it is right now, is not usable for my needs. I need something that's going to be stabby, short, and very precise. Now to do that, all we have to do is monkey with the release. The release setting determines how long a note will continue to play once you've released it. And so I'm going to dial this all the way down to 1 millisecond. And now let's see what that sounds like. It almost has a reverse cymbal kind of sucking effect. So this is a really nice patch presently to be able to do short, stabby string stuff within the context of the song. So that sounds great. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Of course, I can monkey with the filters, the LFOs, and twist and turn this sound over upside down. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to close the window, and now we're ready to perform. So let me go ahead and click on the record button for the actual loop, and let's see what we get. So I have recorded my loop. Let's play that back. right. So I'm going to stop the playback there, and I'm going to, again, double tap, go in. And I actually like the first two measures, and I'm going to create that range. And this is going to be my loop, a 2-measure loop. Now, if all my other loops are 1 measure and this loop is 2 measures, it's not going to matter. The other loops will play back twice in order to keep pace with this loop. So that's a nice thing too. Let's close out of this window. And now move over to the next lane, and let's prepare to record another sound. And this time I'm going to record it a little backwards, if you will. And you'll know what I mean here. So I'm just going to go from C to B instead of B to C. And I'm going to stop the recording, and let's see what we've got here. So here, of course, I didn't play back through the entire, I think it's probably 5 measures or something that I've played through here. But that's okay. I'm going to shore this up again. I'm going to tighten this up and probably just take out 1 measure to loop through. So again, double tap, and I'm going to pull my endpoint in so that I just have 1 measure to loop through. And to test it, of course, I can play it right now. So let me just change this a bit. I'm going to pull this over so that the actual notes play right on. I want the notes to kind of play right away. So let me go ahead and play this back. Test it out, compare the two. You know what? I'm going to go with the original. I'm going to leave it set to this, close it up, and now I've got another loop created. So let's reset everything by clicking the stop button. And now the next section here is going to be a little easier. We're not going to have to play anything back. We're going to use some loops we can get right within Zenbeats and plug those in. Now, even though the track says it's a vocal track, it's an audio track and can be used as such for any type of audio, whether it's going to be audio loops I import or drag down to it, or if it's going to be a vocals I actually record through my mic input. So to change the actual track name without changing the entire nature of the track, I can double tap on the name, and now I can change this to audio. Tap OK. And now notice that the rest of these cells have playback buttons and record buttons, but our actual audio cell has a record button to record audio, like through my iPad microphone, or I can actually import a loop. So click on the plus button and it'll give you your loops, and you can filter loops using the drop down here. You can filter loops by going to the different types, different categories, and you can see how it kind of filters things down and groups things together. There's also a super nice search function right here, which I find really handy. So let's click on the little search tool, and let's search for a loop called flying. And here it is. To audition it, we can click on the playhead. I think that's pretty fresh. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And to do that, with my cell selected, I just click on the plus button. And that's going to throw that in there. All right, good deal. I'm also going to insert another audio file. And to do that, again, I'm going to click into the cell next to this, click on the plus button. And this time around, I'm going to search for DNA. And in particular, I'm looking for this DNA sequence 32. I'm going to click on the plus button, and it'll pop it right in here. So now we have 3 drum loops, 2 sequencer synth loops, 2 Electro Composer loops, and 2 audio loops that we're going to be able to use to record a song. So we're going to learn how to record these loops and create a song from them in the next episode. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more high-quality video tutorials, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.